Hi everyone, welcome here. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you for coming back and watching another video. So in today's video, I'm gonna go through 10 things that I no longer buy specifically for the kitchen. So I've made a video like this in the past that I think was like 50 things maybe that I no longer buy. I don't remember, I'll link it down below. But I thought it would be fun to take you through specifically in each room, like the bedroom, the kitchen, the bathroom, things that I do not buy in those specific areas of my house. And I make video about a few different topics. Mostly I make videos about minimalism and sustainability. So when I'm planning a video, I always kind of think in my head, like, what type of video is this? Is this a minimalism video? Is it sustainability? Is it wellness? Is it productivity? And honestly, I find a lot of my videos kind of cross the threshold into multiple categories. And this is kind of one of those videos. Honestly, my minimalist principles are supported by a sustainable lifestyle, and my sustainability principles are supported by a minimalist lifestyle. You know, they're all kind of intertwined with each other. So these 10 things that I no longer buy in my kitchen, these are both from the perspective of minimalism and sustainability. Some both, some one or the other. Did that even make sense? You get what I'm trying to say, right? If they were a Venn diagram, they'd be like pretty overlapped, you know? Math. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing that I no longer buy is aluminum foil. I kind of can't remember what I used to use aluminum foil for, but I know we used to buy it. I do remember that when I was starting to make more sustainable choices in my life, I moved away from single-use plastics and started leaning more heavily on aluminum foil because it could be washed and reused or washed and recycled very easily. But when we moved here to Southern California, I remember looking for a brand that we could buy locally, and the only sustainable brand that I could find is a brand called If You Care. And honestly, the aluminum foil just was not heavy duty enough. It would rip all the time. It wasn't really that useful. So I stopped buying it, and then we stopped needing it. Since we stopped buying it, I can't think of a single time where I was like, oh, I really wish I had a piece of aluminum foil. We just have found other solutions for the things we used to use it for, I guess. So sometimes you don't know that you don't need something until you try not to need it. The second thing that I no longer buy are plastic food containers. I don't want my food in plastic. I don't know what that plastic is leaching into my food, but I don't want to eat it. I have a set of glass food containers that I've had since 2011, maybe even 2010, that I love. They're super durable. They've obviously stood the test of time. I've had them for over 10 years. And not only are they not plastic, they're glass, so they can be recycled infinitely if I ever need to recycle them. I think they just hold up longer than plastic would anyways. If I think about a plastic food container, would it still be in use 10 years later? Maybe, but probably not. And in addition to the actual set of food containers that I have, I also just store food in other containers, right? Like pickle jars or salsa jars or peanut butter jars. A lot of the food that we buy at the grocery store comes in really high quality packaging that we can reuse. And a question I get a lot is like, what if you're gonna give food away? Like, what if you're gonna give something to your neighbor or your friend? This is where those reused containers come in really handy. So if you want to give somebody some food, like put it in an old salsa jar. You won't really care if you ever see that salsa jar again. It's not like it's part of a set of food containers that you have. It's something that can easily be passed off. And then hopefully that person will wash it out and use it again, or maybe even give it back to you. The third thing that I no longer buy are animal products. I'm not going to say too much about this one. There are environmental impacts to eating animals. One of the things that I do to decrease my footprint is abstain from eating animal products. And there's also just a value system and a set of beliefs and morals that I adhere to when it comes to eating animals or not eating animals, as the case may be. I'll put some links to some resources down below, but it's a thing I don't buy. The fourth thing that I no longer buy in my kitchen are single-use tools. So I don't mean single-use like you use it one time and throw it away. I mean single-use like things that only do one thing. So I'm thinking here of things like an olive pitter or an apple slicer or one of those avocado slicers. Things that only serve an infrequent purpose and that I don't have another tool in the kitchen that can do the exact same thing. So take the apple slicer for instance. I love apples. I eat an apple almost every day. And I like my apples cut up, but I have a knife. I can just cut it with the knife. Slicing up an apple takes me maybe 45 seconds, and an apple slicer is gonna save me maybe 20 of those seconds, I would say. It might even come out to less when I think about having to clean the apple slicer, because it's gonna be much harder to clean than a knife. The point is, I already have something in my kitchen that will serve the same purpose. It's not gonna save me a bunch of time or energy or even really make my life that much easier. There are exceptions to this, of course. I always think of my garlic press. It would take me forever to mince garlic. I would probably have to spend several minutes mincing a piece of garlic versus just sticking it in a garlic press. So when I'm thinking about single-use tools or gadgets in the kitchen, I think about how often I would use it and is it exponentially going to make my life any easier. The next thing on the list is going to come as no surprise, but I no longer buy plastic wrap and plastic bags. There are so many other ways to package things and to keep food in your kitchen that don't involve plastic. Typically I'll use like one of the glass food containers. I have linen bowl covers that come in super handy, especially to replace something like plastic wrap, or I'll use some of the old jars or containers. All of these are great methods for storing food that I don't even miss the plastic. The next thing that I no longer buy is liquid dish soap. For about a year now, I've been using a bar of soap and a brush. And I find not only is this more sustainable because you're reducing the footprint of the plastic bottle that's filled with liquid that's very heavy to ship, but it's cheaper. I can buy a bar of Dr. Bronner soap for a few dollars and it lasts a really long time. I find that I use a lot less soap than when I was using a liquid dish soap, so the soap just goes a lot farther. And to piggyback on that one, number 7, I think it's number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Number 7 is sponges. Sponges, while very cheap and easy to use, can release microplastics into your water supply. So I switched to using a dish brush. The brush that I use, and I'll link to it down below, has a wooden handle and a replaceable head, and then the bristles are made from plant fibers. So the entire head, when it's reached the end of its life, is compostable, and you don't have to replace the handle piece of it, you just put a new brush head on it. So I don't have to worry about it releasing microplastics. If one of the fibers of the bristles do fall out, it's made of plant material and is completely compostable. The next thing that I no longer buy in my kitchen are decorative tea towels. This, I think, skews a little bit more heavily towards the minimalist part of me than the sustainable part of me, but again, it's not buying things that I don't need. I hate towels that are not useful. I want my towel to be absorbent. I want my towel to like do the thing that towels are supposed to do, you know? So I never buy tea towels. The towels that I use in the kitchen are old bath towels, so like hand towels and face cloths. I find that they're the most absorbent, they're the most durable. They don't have like cute designs and decorations on them, which I know some people love, but that's just like, that's not my vibe. I don't want non-absorbent, non-functioning cute towels in my kitchen. I want towels that work. If you love tea towels, no judgment. Put 1,000 tea towels in your kitchen. It's just not my thing. Number 9 are single-use coffee filters. I actually don't drink coffee, but my husband Murphy has a cup of coffee pretty much every morning. And coffee filters, I think, are one of those things where there are sustainable options for disposable coffee filters, and there's some good ones out there for sure. It's one of those things that if you just take one extra step and rinse it out and clean it out every day, then you don't need to throw something away. We've had our reusable coffee filter for over a year now, and it's still going strong. You have to boil it every few months just to like get some of the coffee oils out. And it is an extra step in the morning to like throw the grinds into the compost and then rinse the coffee filter out. But then in my head, I think just in a year, we've saved 365 coffee filters from going into the landfill. And even if we were to compost those coffee filters, like that is still better, but we still would have consumed 365 coffee filters that would have had to been produced, manufactured, and shipped. So to me, the reusable coffee filter is an easy win. The last thing on the list that I no longer buy are rubber bands or elastic bands. All right, question of the video. Do you say elastic bands or rubber bands? I honestly say elastic bands kind of a lot. And Murphy always makes fun of me. He's like, no, these are rubber bands. But one's just describing the material they were made out of, and the other one's just describing like the action that they can do, like they are elastic. Regardless, I don't buy elastic rubber bands. Rubber bands come on a lot of produce, so we just save them and reuse them from that. I found just having like a handful of rubber bands around is usually enough. If we have like 5 or 6, that's usually plenty. And when you go to buy rubber bands somewhere, if you were gonna like buy them at like a drugstore or Amazon or something, they come in packages of like 300. Who needs 300 rubber bands? Maybe if you're gonna make one of those rubber band balls, I don't know. So I find just reusing what we get on produce is more than enough. All right, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please like this video if you liked this video. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram. I will see you next week. Bye everyone. Itchy butt, okay. Oh, ow, I turned my head too fast. Oh, ow. Good start. Hi everyone, welcome here. Let's get more comfortable before we start talking. Hi everyone, welcome here. I can't keep track of my own video. I got like, subscribe, do all the things.